you are sitting at home or whether you're at work or you just catch this later, the very first thing I want to say to you is thank you. Thank you for being here, for coming out, for listening, for wanting to know more, for understanding that this is a problem. This is a systemic problem in our country. And for those of you who are watching from live stream or you're going to watch it later, please listen to me. Please listen. I'm going to have a limited amount of time today, but I do a lot of live videos. I have the Family Forward Project on Facebook. You can go to YouTube and search my name. I do lives on a lot of issues, child welfare, custody, issues with children. I am a family law attorney. I am also an advocate for improving the system that our families are just getting caught up in. It's horrible. I mean, I'm part of it, right? I'm in it. So I want to talk to you today, though, specifically about divorce and custody cases. Let's just talk about that. And one of the biggest problems that we have in divorce and custody cases is that the judges, they don't know anything about you, okay? They don't know anything about your children. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything about the other family members. And so when a divorce is filed or a custody petition is filed, all the judge sees is what's written on that piece. Daily life looked like before that divorce was filed, okay? They don't know when the divorce is filed who took that child to the doctor, who got up and fixed breakfast, who brushed their hair, who gave them a bath, who took them to soccer, who the child came to when they fell down and cut their knee. They don't know that, okay? And so what happens is sometimes we get one party who decides they're going to be the aggressor in the case, and they write up a complaint or a petition. A lot of times they pick one particular incident. It can be, the child's late for school. It can be they missed a doctor's appointment. They can say mother's on medications, whatever they want to say. And they swear under oath, and then they go get the demon ex parte order. Okay, the demon ex parte order. I deal with those all the time. I was arguing in front of the Court of Appeals yesterday about those. And now, once you have done that, and this applies to divorce, it applies to custody, it applies to child welfare cases, once they have done that, the child's life is upside down. The child's life is upside down. Because now we have created chaos. And so many times in divorce, in these very, very chaotic, highly contested divorces, the court hears bits and pieces, one thing at a time, one incident at a time. They move from one case to another. They have 90 cases on their docket, okay? They can't even remember the facts. Trust me, they can't. I mean, I may carry 30 or 40 cases at one time, and I struggle when I work with families all the time. I'm like, okay, are you the family that, this happened? They don't know you. That's the biggest problem. One of the things that I think is so important that we need to work on, and every one of you here needs to help contribute to this, is we have got to have an assessment of the children's lives when the children are involved in any litigation. Now, I also believe that the children need an attorney, not a guardian ad litem, because a guardian ad litem is about their best interest. And I'm just going to tell you, after 26 years, it ain't what the child's best interest is. It's what the guardian ad litem thinks the child's best interest is based upon their own personal opinion. All right? Because they're attorneys. They're not psychologists. They're not social workers. They're not pediatricians. Okay, they're attorneys. And they go in and they go, well, and a lot of them don't even have children. All right? So we need to look at it from the perspective of assessment. We also need to look at, from the court system, from the perspective of having family advocates active in the court process, okay? When people come to me and I meet them, I always tell them, I say this to them right up front. I say, look, you own the facts. You own the facts in your case. I can't create the facts. I can't make the facts. I can barely remember the facts, honestly. But you know what? You can help me with that. You can sit down. You can write a timeline. Put it in chronological order. Put details, add documents to it. Tell me what I need to subpoena and not subpoena. So many people come in with the expectation that their attorney's going to put their case together for them. Okay? They don't know the facts. They barely have the time to do it. So expensive to get an attorney to write a timeline when you can do it yourself. Okay, so as you guys sit here today, and I know a lot of you people who've had experiences and you're trying to reach out and help other people, this is one of the most important things that you can do for them. Help them get their facts on paper. All right, get your facts on paper. Do a declaration of facts. Get the information regarding who would be witnesses who would have information to support that. Understand what it takes to subpoena records and get those records before the court, and have that ready to go as fast as you can. As fast as you can. Okay, whether it's a divorce case, a custody case, a child welfare case, you own the facts. So it's so important. The other thing is we talk about how to testify. One thing I say to people is when you testify, you've got to remember that the person that's listening to you, who's going to make a decision about your life, they don't know you, okay? They don't know you. They don't know what has happened that has put you in the emotional place that you are in, okay? I started when I got out of law school, went to law school late, had a whole nother life before that. I started my career, as you heard her say, in prosecuting domestic violence. I talked to 40 victims a day, okay? One of the things that you learn pretty quickly is that persons who are in homes where there are domestic violence, whether it's emotional or physical, the victim suffers. Okay, now some people call it PTSD. I worked with a lot of psychologists knowing that actually the criteria for PTSD is pretty high, but I'm going to tell you there are always certain things that are going to be there. There's always going to be anxiety. There's always going to be paranoia. There's always going to be a lack of self-esteem. And honestly, I think it's better to identify specifically what it is as opposed to just calling it PTSD, because then you can address it better. You can talk about it better. You can encourage a person and say, I believe you, I understand you, but you've got to be able to tell your story. You've got to be able to tell your story. And sometimes I say there's a couple of things that you can practice. One of them is that you can practice telling a story about your life as though you are watching it from the outside, as though you are a bystander. And you can practice this with something that happened to you in your life before, something that was traumatic with you as a child. You can tell that story now as if you were watching it. Okay, it's much easier to do when it was 10 years ago, all right? But then you've got to move it closer to date, and you've got to look at some traumatic experience. It's an exercise and it's a skill to be able to tell that story. The other one is I say to fast forward and pretend you're 5 years from now. And 5 years from now, if you're sitting with coffee, you've met a new friend, you're, having a little bit of latte, and your new friend says, I went through a terrible divorce. And you go, you think your divorce was bad, right? And you can say, let me tell you what happened. And you can look at it in retrospect of that perspective. And that is the way that victims of the court system need to be able to articulate what's happening. And I understand courtroom anxiety. Oh my gosh. It's, judges don't understand it. I'm going to tell you. Attorneys barely understand it. I understand it. I get it. It's so hard. And you have to mentally prepare yourself before you get to that point. All right, I'm going to wrap up with just one other thing. Again, thank you all so much. One of my spiritual gifts is encouragement. So I encourage you as you sit here today or as you've watched on your lives, I encourage you to take the next step. And take the next step is coordinate, look at ideas. How can we go forward? I've been to state legislators. I've been to D.C. I've walked the halls of D.C. I've called them up on the phone. I go to events and shake their hand. Get your face and your voice in front of them, okay? Get your face and your voice in front of them and say, we need changes, and work together to think of creative ideas. So I think that's all I really want to say to you today. I free think as I'm standing up here, because that's the most important way for me to communicate. Again, I'm just going to close and I'm going to say I want you to keep moving forward. You know, I know you guys have websites and live streams. Keep sharing, keep educating other people. Make it a topic of conversation. I have little flyers that I hand out about banning ASFA. Make a little tiny card that can be your topic starters. And I'll just tell you Tennessee statistics. We have 60,000 marriages a year, and we have 30,000 divorces. Right? That does not even count the children born out of wedlock that end up in juvenile court, which is an uncounted statistic. Okay, our children deserve better. They're growing up in broken homes where they don't even understand relationships. All right, so I want to thank you all again for being here today. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to turn this back over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, just hit it.
Yeah.